The Northwest Province has been battling poor service delivery for a couple of years now, from unfinished projects to water provision issues and a poor road network. Residents are looking for politicians who will improve their lives after the 2024 elections. Let's speak now to some of the premier candidates from various parties in the province. I'm joined here in the studio by Forum for Service Delivery, Dr. Mbahare Kekana, and the DA Provincial Northwest Chair, Freddy, Sonakile, as well as EFF Provincial Spokesperson, Fanon, Moema, who will be joining us both on Zoom in just a moment. But, gentlemen, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on. Doctor, let's start with you here in the studio with us. It seems 2014 to 2016 would have been the worst years for the province in terms of how it has performed. However, on average, according to the Premier, if you look at 2011 up to 2021, with the latest S&P Global report, that GDP has grown from 189 billion rands to 386 billion rand, contributing 6.24% to the South African GDP. What do you find wrong with that? In the Northwest, the problem is leadership. The current leadership of ANC, they don't have a plan. The current leadership of ANC, they don't know where they want to take the province. So it's time for change. It's time for a new leaders. It's time for us as Forum for Service Delivery to take over. We are started in 2015. We've got a track record. We have councillors in all the municipalities of the Northwest. We are not giving lip service, but we really hold executive to account. So we decided with our members to say, now is the time for us to contest the national and provincial elections. So if I understand you clearly, you are saying that the economy and what it contributes and what it's able to produce is adequate to cater for the needs of the people of the province. But you just looking at poor leadership, that is the stumbling block. Yes. You can also see, I mean, Northwest, every year, it's one of those provinces whereby they will swap premiers. And for 5 years, you'll have about 3 premiers. And this thing started as early as 2009, whereby we have never had a premier who will complete his term. Like we had Supra Mahumapelo, we had Bushimabi, now there's a premier. 3 premiers, that's why we are saying there's a lack of leadership. So we need a stable leadership. We must make sure that we revamp the province and starting it from the scratch and bring it to its previous glory. Yeah. What are those who will say, well, you're part of the contribution to the instability, because Forum for Service Delivery is the baby of the ANC. That's where you come from. You are part of those who break away and create this instability of leaders here, leaders there. As Forum for Service, I've never been a member of ANC. As the president of the Forum, we are young people who came to this political landscape so that we can bring solutions. And we have worked very, very hard without any national footprint at national level, provincial level. So we have established ourselves we told ourselves that for 8 years, let's build ourselves. So now we've building ourselves. Then we want to take over the province, like we did with taking over the Tsobota municipality as Forum for Service Delivery, because it's one of the troublesome municipalities. We are co-governing in about 11 municipalities in the Northwest. Okay, I'm going to come back to Disobotla and find out exactly what you've done there. Freddy, let's bring you in here. Unemployment rate sitting at about, 32.3%, a national average at 33%, 386 billion rands in the GDP. How can you better that?
Definitely, as the Democratic Alliance, one of our offers is to get rid of the high unemployment rate. We are having a plan to create about 200,000 jobs. But how are we going to be doing that? It is by ensuring that we make sure that the conditions that businesses are performing on are becoming much better. We are having a plan to introduce a youth employment opportunity certificate. We believe that in the Western Cape, as you have spoken to the statistics where we are governing, Western Cape is contributing a large chunk to the employment rate of the entire country. So we definitely have a plan as the Democratic Alliance to ensure that we reform this restrictive labor market that South Africa and the Northwest is definitely having. Currently with the ANC government, you can tell that we are the province with the highest unemployment rate. I think we are currently, based on the fourth quarter labor force survey, we are on 52.2 unemployment rate on the expanded unemployment, and that means that we are the worst province in the country. So as the DA, we definitely have a plan to create jobs, because we believe that the ANC government over the years has actually led us to where we are now. When you look at around your 2008, the unemployment rate in the Northwest was about 22%. But over the years, based on this lack of plan, based on a poor service delivery, because somehow poor service delivery contributes to investors coming into a province and all that. So based on this poor handling of the way government works, we are where we are now as a province. So we definitely, as the DA, have a plan to get rid of this huge number.
200,000 jobs, where are they going to be coming from? The cornerstone of the province is mining, but mining has been volatile and has not been performing at the level where it needs to be performing, partly because of energy challenges, but there are other issues that include also some issues that have got to do with the wars that are being fought globally.
Most of the jobs will come from the private sector. However, you need to remember also that the Northwest performs very well in terms of your agriculture. However, lately, like you are saying, due to problems such as your load shedding, due to problems that I've spoken to of the lack of the most basic services, even investment, even your agriculture cannot thrive in the Northwest. So those are areas that we will be looking into. The moment you start ensuring that a government performs, and by government performing, I'm talking about the most basic tasks. Once government gets that right, it is easy to start talking jobs. Once government starts having a plan of dealing away with load shedding or reducing load shedding, which is a plan that we have as the Democratic Alliance. Once you start speaking to the basics of your structural issues, structural maintenance and everything, it is easy for you to can attract investment into a province. And when you look at the Western Cape, that's what exactly we are doing. In terms of load shedding, we have introduced mechanisms and plans to ensure that we increase what we have on the grid. We have an incentive plan to buy electricity from individuals and from businesses. And that way, once you start dealing away with your issues of your load shedding, once you start ensuring that the basic of the most services, like you're ensuring that roads are in a good condition, ensuring that the basic things such as your collection of sewage and all that is dealt with correctly, it is easier for investment to come. It is easier also for government in itself to maintain issues such as your agriculture, ensuring that farmers and all other people who are willing to assist in developing the government do come in and play their role. So we have that plan.
All right. Fanon, let's bring you in here. We are, of course, looking at the province, and we're quoting what the current leadership is saying is there and what is working. I want to get a sense from you how you in that administration would change things and make them look better. We did reach out to the ANC, and they are going to be a part of the conversation at a later stage because of just the number of parties that we have to accommodate. But one of the things, Fanon, that the Premier says, that the Northwest Chamber of Commerce, for example, is continuing with its affiliates to pour investment into this province. A contribution, for example, from the Sidibelo Pilansberg Platinum Mine of 9.4 billion rands, with 3,000 job opportunities created in the Moses Kotane local municipality. Harmony Gold in the city of Matlosana, 7 billion rands invested, which will sustain 6,000 jobs. African Rainbow Energy, which has invested 2 billion in a solar plant in Ditsobotla. Supreme Chicken, 180 million, ramping up economic activity. So saying that there is activity in the economy in that province. Fanon, I think we've got you now on the line. I was saying, if you would ask the ANC, who we are going to ask to come on, they will tell you that there is economic progress in the province. If you just look at the Northwest Chamber of Commerce and Industry and their partnership and their affiliates alone, I counted their investments of up to 20 billion rands that are making a difference in terms of creating jobs and in terms of ramping up economic activity. How do you top that?
Well, good evening to you and to the viewers at home. Well, where we are currently, we have no confidence in the ruling party because, one, the unemployment rate suggests otherwise, as opposed to what they are actually saying is happening on the ground. People are unemployed. We see less economic activity on the ground. Load shedding is affecting all sectors of the economy. Mining is as well is suffering because also there's no local monitoring of trade. So all these sectors of the economy severely affected by all these ongoing predicaments. We don't have a solid infrastructure on the ground to actually move goods. So much as they are arguing that they are investing, they are pouring money into the coffers of the provincial government, we do not see much of those activities taking place. So we have less confidence, and all we can say is that actually they're being careless of the truth. It can be correct that you are saying you're investing a lot of money into job creations, yet we sit with this rate of unemployment across the province, where young people are unemployed, people get retrenched almost on a daily basis due to these other factors that are affecting the economy, such as load shedding, such as water shedding, and also poor road infrastructure. That also affects movements of goods and services.
So if you are disputing their numbers, I mean, you would need to present your numbers to say, how are you going to do better? What degrees and levels of investment are you promising to attract?
Well, first and foremost, we all know that the province is blessed with human capital, is blessed with mineral resources. So we must first start by industrializing, ensuring that whatever we extract from mining, we must be able to actually move that into being the actual product that we can sell, that we can employ people to actually ensure that they materialize into the actual good that we want to see ultimately. So that should be the point of departure. Also, we are actively involved in agriculture as a province, so we must be able to invest and have a proper idea of where that money is going. Yes, we hear that they are giving figures. They are arguing that there's a lot of investment that has been taken to the provincial government, but there's no clear plan in terms of where are they going to utilize that money, with what activity. So we sit with the government that is clueless in terms of what must happen insofar as the actual activities must take place. Hence, we sit with this unemployment, yet we do have investment coming in, yet we do have mineral resources, yet we do have human capital as a province. So it's not a coincidence that we are actually where we are. We are here because we have leadership that is clueless in terms of the direction we must take as a province, insofar as employment is concerned, insofar as development of our communities is concerned.
So both yourself and the DA seemingly pointing towards agriculture, the Premier suggesting that much of the economic contribution is also largely going to come from tourism. What's your plan on tourism?
Absolutely. Once upon a time, our province used to be a tourist attraction. However, the ANC-led government has collapsed all those strategic areas that we used to, utilize as a tourist attraction insofar as tourism is concerned. To this day, you see Manyane Game Reserve has collapsed. You go across the province, the airport itself is no longer functional. So if we are to be a tourist attraction as a province, how are we then going to utilize those who want to consume those tourism services? If the airport is closed, if our roads are not that conducive for motorists and all people coming from Botswana, our nearest countries, coming from Namibia and other provinces and our sister provinces. That is not possible. It's collapsed by those reasons. If people come here and there's no water, how must they then enjoy their holidays in the province or their tourism activities while we do not have water, while there's load shedding, while there's no proper road infrastructure, while there's no airport to make traveling easier and quick. So we are saying that it cannot be possible under the ANC government and all these things that are happening insofar as infrastructure collapse is concerned.
All right, Doc, let's come back to you. I mean, you mentioned Ditsobotla, and one of the things that the Premier mentions about Ditsobotla is that the water situation is improving. And most of the time when you speak to the people of Ditsobotla, the big issue is water access, sewage that is not working. And there is what they call an intervention from national with the Minister, Senzo Mkhunu. There is also their war room on water that they're saying is continuing to do work there. What's your sense on the question of water?
Yes, correct. There's an improvement because of the leadership of Forum for Service Delivery in that municipality. Remember, we are the ones leading the municipality. So we have engaged the Minister of Water and Sanitation. We have also increased the Premier of the Northwest. So we are giving direction, but the main problem that we are having there, it's the situation of the roads. There's a whole lot of potholes that we are busy trying to fix. There's also the investors who, like Clover, who have left Ditsobata. We are trying to negotiate with them so that they can come back. And also to check in the case of agriculture, because we know in Ditsobata they were dealing a lot with agriculture, and we are trying to revamp that and bring that to life.
So the chunks of money in the billions that I'm looking at here that have been invested into the development of the road infrastructure, what is happening to them?
Like I said earlier on, the current leadership of ANC in the Northwest, they run a province more or less like friends like this. They don't put their foot down. They don't provide a clear direction. But since we took over this award as Forum for Service Delivery, I can tell you, the employees there, they were not getting salaries. So now at least they are managing to get salaries. It's about the 4th month now, whereby every month they're getting salaries. So we are trying to stabilize the municipality there.
So 2023-2024 financial is 13 billion rands that they say they have received through the presidency, set aside for the maintenance and upgrading of 39 road projects in the province. What has happened to these projects?
Those projects are not there. I can tell you, most of the money in the Northwest, it's been returned back to Treasury, simply because there's no plan. There's no plan at all by the provincial leadership. There's no plan at all by the ANC in that province. So the issue of MIG money, it's not utilized. I can tell you, municipalities such as Moema, more than 45 million rand, it was returned back because it was unused. After receiving money from national government, they just put it there, and come the end of financial year, they splash that money on toilets.
And let's, Freddy, look at the question then for me on education, right? The department, or at least the government, saying that part of what has been happening is the improvement of the outcomes in that province. They are reclaiming their position as one of 2 best performing provinces in terms of the national senior certificate results. What's the view of the DA on how the education department is performing in the province?
You know, Thabo, the standard is so low. The standard is so low to an extent that for the African National Government, African National Congress government, to give itself a pat in the back for the statistics that keep going up. Obviously, where matriculants are writing exams out of 30%, you are bound to get that. But we don't talk about the structural issues that our schools in the Northwest are going through. We still have schools that are using pit toilets in the Northwest. So the system is not that good for the kids themselves to can be able to reach their full potential. We are talking about a province whereby there are still, it was shocking, I think it was in the news that there was even a school whereby you would find basins as well as toilets in a classroom because of no schools that are being built. It's only now, because we are going into elections, that you'll be seeing the MEC and the Premier moving around the province saying that they are opening new schools. We've got so many projects of schools. Go to your Reneke in Mamusa, whereby schools were built, but they were never finished. We've got so many projects of those. Go to your Hainisa in Kagistan Molopo, whereby they were saying that they're introducing a new model of building new schools. However, you don't see that coming through. So it's really a matter of not doing your proper research. Because if you are to look at the number of students who come into your grade 8, and then you check the number of those who finish matric, you find that a number of students throughout the system, we get to lose them over the years. Are those students repeating grades? No, they are no longer found in the system. So you need to start asking yourself questions and get deeper into the issue of education, that if you start the year 2024 with 100,000 learners, and then in 2030, when they are doing your grade 7 or 2029, you find that you're only left with 50,000. Where do you locate this other 50,000? When you cannot find them in the education system, it means that something is not right. And I think the department over the years, not only in Northwest, but also in other provinces, even nationally, that's what they are missing. No one is talking about this missing number of students who do not get to their grade 12. And have we also looked at the literacy levels of those, especially in your grade 9 or so? We have students who are doing grade 9, where you will think that when you're at grade 9, you're going to be choosing subjects for the future now when you get to grade 10 and all that. We cannot read to understand. And that is where the problem is at. Are we producing matriculants that are ready to take over the labor market, that are ready to go to university? Are we just chasing numbers so that we can keep on saying that we are on 20%, now we are on 40 and all that? So there are a number of issues that the Department of Education in the Northwest really needs to go back and really look into seriously before they can just claim easy victories of the steps that keep going up.
So the dropout question is a question that National certainly has raised. I've heard Angie Mutsecha talk about a number of times. But looking at the province and the interventions that the MEC says would be put in place, for example, the answer to some of the challenges, they're talking about a rollout of broadband Wi-Fi from the current 25% of learners to 75% of the learners. They are talking of issues around the hunger and how hunger impacts on the students. And now almost 300 schools in poor, economically marginalized communities who are getting breakfast, right? They are talking about 1,300 schools across the province where they will be rolling out sanitary and dignity towels as well as a feeding scheme. I mean, these are the interventions that they are putting in place amongst others in the context of that improvement. What do you bring?
Maybe first, Thabo, let me speak to the solutions that the Department of Northwest of Education is speaking to. You know, all these issues, they are very good when the MEC is saying them. They are very good when you look at them on paper. But there's a key thing that is the problem in all these issues that you've mentioned as solutions, and that is the tenders. You would know that for them to feed those students, there's a tender that goes out. I can take you to 2 schools today where I know that students are not getting food because there's an issue with the tender that deals with that issue of feeding those students. I can take you to a school in Lichtenberg tomorrow or anytime when you want that, whereby students are not having tablets. They were told that the service provider was supposed to bring tablets. As we speak, those students do not have tablets. I can take you to a school whereby the issue of Wi-Fi is the problem, where parents will be calling us as the Democratic Alliance to say that we are being forced to buy Wi-Fi, to buy data for our students, and we don't have the money. So as the Democratic Alliance, we believe that for you to bring changes in the education system, you first need to divide your issues into those that are structural and then deal with the operational matters. There are a lot of operational matters that the Department of Northwest of Education is not doing correctly. And in you saying that the MEC or the minister has addressed the issue of the missing students, it means that on paper they are doing it quite well, but it is not bringing or yielding the necessary results that are needed. So those issues are all good and well. Those 1,000 school sanitary towels that they are bringing, it's all good, but wait up until you see how cumbersome the process becomes, because someone first has to go and apply for that tender. The tender gets to be given to someone who does not have the capacity. Then at a later stage, you find political parties like the Democratic Alliance having to go to some of those schools to donate those sanitary towels, because you are having a department that is having a challenge with its contract dealing with that. And over the years, the Department of Education in the Northwest, since your 2019, it has been forfeiting money. That is money that could have been building schools. That is money that should have ensured that each and every learner has a tablet in the Northwest. So there's nothing convincing about the plan that they are giving you, and there's nothing when it comes to reality about those plans that you have mentioned that is really running smoothly. It's chaos.
Fanon, the question of land, how are you responding to that? The campaign promise that you are bringing to the people on the question of land. The Department of Agriculture and Rural Development in the province saying they've allocated 20 farms to 20 beneficiaries, at least in this financial year, ranging from youth, women, military veterans, people with disabilities, and emerging black commercial farmers, totaling 34,000 hectares.
Well, the beneficiaries.
No, that's for Fanon. That's for Fanon there. Yeah?
Okay, sorry.
Yes, those are long-standing applications. They are just responding to people who have been making applications and so forth. But also, they are not being considerate of the people. I mean, our communities are growing on a basis. They are expanding. Interest of the people changes from every year, depending on the nature of growth in that particular area. Young people, they get to graduate. They now want to be independent and start their own lives with their own families. Others, they want to start their businesses. Others want to venture into farming and so forth. So the question of land, as the EFF, are going to be decisive in responding to it and make sure that we balance the interest of everyone who wants to actually start whatsoever activity to the best interest of their life, and that is going to also be to the collective interest of the broader community. So we are going to balance all the interest as and when we address the issue of land. So addressing it to merely saying because of farmers, they long applied and they have a long history that farm belongs to them. Yes, it's a genuine one, and we do agree that such must happen. And also under our government, we will ensure that we distribute the land equitably without compensation. But also we are saying what the department is doing currently is not really addressing the problem. Actually, it's just dealing with the symptoms rather than dealing with the actual cause of the problem. So as the EFF, we are going to ensure that we also assess a population growth and balance those interests as and when there's a need to actually distribute land to our people. And there is a genuine need that we must distribute the land to our people. There are many farmers who are still waiting for their lands. Since launched their applications, they do come to our offices, they approach us, requesting us to make some necessary interventions insofar as the land question is concerned. But also, you have white farmers who have a huge hectares of land that are not utilized. We must also engage them and say, we must also go there and ensure that we share that land equitably so that no individual owns a huge land without actually utilizing the entire space of the land, while other people could also share in that land and ensure that there's economic activities and there's also a household that can be utilized where it is conducive for household to be established.
Hence the call that the Premier made is saying that the illegal occupation of farm impacts negatively on agricultural activity. We therefore discourage such practices. What is going to be your approach as an EFF government in that province to that question of illegal occupation of farms?
Well, people, like I said earlier, that we are blessed with human capital. There are many people who want to also farm. There are black people with interest to farm. There are many graduates who come from the space of farming. There are those who might not have formal education insofar as farming is concerned, but they can prove that they've been engaging in farming from subsistence farming to commercial farming. So those are the people who must engage and give skills and give tools and also as well as education to ensure that those people are fully equipped and are able to farm. So the land must serve that purpose so that those who want to farm are also going to go through those processes of assessing the extent at which they will be able to utilize that land fruitfully and to the best interest of the broader community. So we are going to be engaging at that level. So they are not essentially illegally occupying, because those white people who are in those lands themselves, they might not have that, do not have the right to be in those lands. They don't have title deeds for those lands, so they can't claim that there are people who are illegally occupied. If there's anyone who have occupied the land illegally, it's those white farmers who came during the time of apartheid and colonialism. So ourselves, as the black people, we are saying, we are encouraging as the as the EFF government, we are encouraging that all people must be able to share the land equitably. Hence, we are saying that it can't be correct that one person owns huge hectares of land without actually utilizing the entire space of the land. So we are saying there must be that ground where we are able to share equitably. Or redistribute equitably.
Your approach for energy generation, right? There's a potential 50 billion worth of investment in the renewable energy space, in addition to the existing private sector renewable energy, which the mines are bringing in and so on and so forth. How do you address the energy question?
The energy question, there's money available to ensure that we have an alternative to Eskom. We need to make sure that we are not only subject to Eskom. We need to make sure that there's another alternative, which as Forum for Service Delivery, if we are given an opportunity, will bring another alternative to Eskom so that we address the issue of energy.
All right. And Freddy, the two questions, your approach to the land question, but your approach to the energy question as well in the province.
Thank you, Thabo. Let me start with the land one. We believe in the protection of property rights. Therefore, on that one, we don't compromise. We believe that the Constitution already provides mechanisms that afford a government to can ensure that land works for the residents. It's just that the ANC government has no plan. We have a plan to ensure that title deeds are given to the residents. If you look currently, the backlog is of more than, I think, 1 million that the department is failing to deal with. You will find that when you're going into elections like now, the MEC or the Premier would be moving around with title deeds only for the few, not dealing with what is already on the backlog that the Department of Cooperative Governance and Human Settlements in the Northwest is failing to deal with. When it comes to the issue of the energy, we are having a plan to end load shedding. And part of the plan, like when I started, is what we are already implementing in the Western Cape and also in the city of Cape Town and other municipalities that the DA is running. We are having a plan of moving away from Eskom and ensuring that we increase power generation. That is one. Two, we have a plan to prioritize investment in grid infrastructure because we believe that currently what we are having is not working. And the plans of billions that we are speaking to on energy that the government is saying that they are going to be implementing has been there for about 2 years now. In the previous financial year, under the Department of Economic Development and Tourism, they had about 10 billion that they said that they were going to utilize to ensure that they are bringing solutions to deal with load shedding. When I asked the question in the legislature about 2 months ago, and said to them that they must provide how far along they are in terms of achieving those plans for load shedding. The response was that they are still awaiting service providers who would come and create a plan. So they're still talking a plan. They don't have a plan over the years, over the 5 years. When you check on this term, what the ANC has done in government in dealing with load shedding in the Northwest, there's nothing. We've basically been forfeiting that money that was meant to deal with that. So even that billions that they are mentioning currently, it's monies that have been there for years. It's monies that they've been asking for holdovers instead of ensuring that there is a plan. So ours also includes diversifying the energy sector to ensure that we maximize and even bring in independence to can come and assist with this issue of load shedding. Thank you, Thabo.
Fanon, the energy question?
Yes, one, as the EFF, we are inspired by the successful models of China. So we are going to emulate the systems of China in terms of generating electricity, but also we are going to integrate other alternative energy sources. And also we are going to ensure that we subsidize embedded energy sources. But most importantly, to can resolve the situation in the immediate is to first service the existing electricity infrastructure so that we are able to deal with the issue of load shedding within the first 6 months of our governance. And going forward as well, we are going to come with new, integrated energy sources such as the China systems and so forth.
Gentlemen, appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on and for joining us this evening. That was Forum for Service Delivery. Dr. Mbahare Kekana with the DA Provincial Northwest Chair Freddy Sonakile, as well as EFF Provincial Spokesperson Fanon Moema there joining us tonight. What's making news on In Focus?